The air has shifted. Spring is here, though the memory of winter still lingers. Most of our gardens survived the cold. It was only the chilli and capsicum that couldn't survive the frost. Everything else held on, waiting patiently for warmth to return. These days our work feels steady, simple and full of hope. We've been building, planting, repairing and quietly preparing for what lies ahead. And in between the work, there are moments of stillness, sun on Truffles' fur, and the sound of bees on the radish flowers, and the golden light at the close of day. Inside the greenhouse, life is bursting with seedlings, and I'll show you how I've been preparing them and hardening them off and getting ready to transplant them out. We've been busy with projects around the homestead. We've been making some new garden signs, and Paul has tackled a huge job in the kitchen, cutting a square in the bench so we can finally fit a proper gas cooker after 4 years living out there with just the camp stove. And we'll also take you through a seed sowing marathon, and also you'll see Paul attempt his first ever plastic welding job, repairing our split water tank. And then the weather shifts again. We built a new garden bed beside the asparagus and put up a trellis that will soon be heavy with green. And in the greenhouse we've got lots of linaria seedlings, alyssum, sweet William, and tiny little signs of more colour to come. And there's lots of weeds in there as well. Oh, and we've also got some raspberry carnations coming up in there too. And we've got raspberry carnations and sweet William and linaria coming up in here too. Some of them are going a bit yellow, which means they probably need to be transplanted out pretty soon. And we've got some bergamot, lemon mint or bee balm in there as well. And then we've got some beautiful cornflower classic magic in this one. Paul cut up some wood to make some new garden signs. So I ordered some black chalk paint, and I've been painting the garden signs, and I've got a white chalk marker that I'll write on them, but I'll give them 2 coats of paint first, and then I'll put them out in the sun so they can dry thoroughly between each coat. And when they're thoroughly dried, I'll use the white chalk marker to write the names of the plants.
Are you painting both sides?
Yep.
And the edges?
Yep.
Wow.
Water-resistant black chalk paint is generally fine to use on wooden garden signs in a vegetable and herb garden, as long as the paint is non-toxic once cured, so most water-based chalk paints are, and once the paint has fully dried and cured, it won't leach harmful chemicals into the soil. And especially if you're only using your signs on the surfaces that don't come into direct contact with the plant or soil or anything that you eat, it should be fine. I even grabbed my old signs out of the garden, although they're a little bit rotten now. They won't last forever, but with this new paint, they'll hopefully look cheerful again. These little details matter. They give a sense of order and love to the place, and the fresh contrast on the signs makes the whole garden look cared for.
Are you having a party?
Yep. Except I need some music. I need to put the music on. These are my old ones.
Yeah, from the old seat.
I just need to spruce them up a bit. I think I've got some more out the back too. While I painted outside, Paul worked inside the house. He cut a neat square into the kitchen bench and lowered in a new gas cooker.
It's a bit more mess than what I thought it would.
And water-based paints, like the chalk paint that I'm using, are much safer than oil-based or solvent-based outdoor paints, which can sometimes contain heavy metal or strong preservatives. So if you want to be extra cautious, you could seal the painted surface with a non-toxic outdoor sealer like a natural beeswax or something like that, though it isn't strictly necessary for signs that don't touch the soil. Hopefully no one falls over in the garden and lands on this. This could take your eye out. Paul uses circular saw first to cut out the main part of the square of the kitchen bench. I'm letting the signs dry thoroughly in the sun before placing them in the garden. This helps the paint harden completely and reduces any chance of the residue washing off. Paul later used the reciprocating saw to get into the corners of the square that he was cutting out of the kitchen bench. For the first time in 4 years, we'll have more than just a camping stove. It felt like such a milestone, almost like moving into a home for the first time. Meanwhile, Truffles found her patch of sun and slept, as though nothing in the world could be more important. I brought out heaps of linaria seedlings from the greenhouse and placed them in a sheltered rack beside the shed. They'll get more sun here than in the greenhouse. Some shade in the afternoon and less wind. It's a safe place for them to learn to be in the outdoors before I plant them out into the garden. They'll stay there for about a week and then they'll go into the soil. They remind me of miniature snapdragons, each with a promise of colour. I can already picture them swaying gentle in the breeze in amongst all the other flowers. We tested the new gas cooker by boiling the kettle. Our old kettle looks almost comical on the shiny new surface. But when the water boiled, it felt like a small celebration. A simple thing, but deeply satisfying. There is always sowing to do. This week I filled more trays. Spanish yellow onion, nasturtiums and yarrow. These are the Spanish yellow onion seeds, which are tiny little black dots. And I should have washed my hands because I've got that black seedling or seed raising mix all over my hands. So I could hardly tell the difference. But anyway, I just went ahead and tried to get 1 or 2 seeds into each little cell. And I tried to add some soil on top till it was probably about half a centimetre deep or something like that. The germination can take 2 to 3 weeks with the onions. Once onion seedlings are about 10 centimetres tall, I'll probably plant them out 10 to 15 centimetres apart in rows. They prefer full sun and well-drained fertile soil. And onions don't like to dry out, and the bulbs are ready when the tops start to yellow and flop over, usually late summer to early autumn. Paul bought the Mr. Car-Tool plastic welder online, and the welder basically heats the staple up and you press the staple across the crack, sinking it part way into the plastic.
Press. A bit more. More. Yep. Out there. There they go.
And those squiggly or wave-shaped staples give more surface grip, spreading the stress along the seam. It just goes in the holes?
Yep. You missed the other hole.
Each staple acts like a stitch in fabric, physically holding the two sides of the crack together while you continue working.
So just got to see where that sort of line kicks in. Looks pretty good there. Let's give it a go there. Is that lined up?
For a long split like this one, you need to repeat this every few centimetres until the two pieces are held firmly. At this stage, the tank looks like it's been stitched back together with metal. I had two kinds of nasturtiums. Tropolium majus is a climbing annual, and you need to sow the seeds in a depth of 15 millimeters, and germination will be in 7 to 14 days. And I've also got the nasturtium whirlybird mix, which is an annual compact, which is about 30 centimeters tall, and germination will be in 7 to 14 days as well. The leaves and the flowers of the nasturtiums are edible with a peppery taste, so you can pick them fresh for salads, use them as garnishes, or collect the green seed pods to pickle like capers, and deadheading will encourage more flowers. Nasturtiums thrive in porous soils. Too much fertility gives them more leaves than flowers, so they don't mind a little neglect, and they sprawl beautifully over edges or climb if given support. I've got two types of yarrow as well. This one is cloth of gold, which is yellow, and it's got fern-like leaves, tall stems, and dense clusters of small yellow flowers. And basically we need to sow the seeds about 2 millimeters deep, and germination will be 10 to 14 days. And the other yarrow is cerise queen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a perennial that grows to 60 centimeters, and it has flowers which are magenta and pink. And you plant the seeds 2 millimeters deep, and germination will be 10 to 14 days as well. The cloth of gold yarrow, the yellow one, can grow up to 150 centimeters tall, which is quite tall. Yarrow is very beneficial for the garden. First of all, it's a pollinator magnet, so the yarrow's flat-topped flower clusters are perfect landing pads for bees, butterflies, hoverflies, and beneficial predatory insects like lacewings. And they're a soil helper, so the yarrow has deep roots that pull up nutrients like potassium, calcium, and phosphorus, making them available to nearby plants, so it improves soil fertility over time. And it's a great companion plant, so near vegetables and herbs, it can increase essential oil production, boosting flavour and pest resistance, and it's often grown near fruit trees, tomatoes, and aromatic herbs. It's also been used as a healing herb for wounds and also in teas. Dried yarrow makes excellent addition to homemade compost activators as it speeds up decomposition. And also it's a drought-tolerant beauty. So once established, yarrow needs very little water, making it perfect for tough summers while still giving you colour and pollinator activity. And while I sowed all my seeds, the kangaroos grazed nearby, ears flicking in the sun.
If I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make any difference? Would it change for the better? If I wrote you a poem, if I posted a letter.
In the late afternoons, the kangaroos come closer. You can see a pale stripe along their cheek catching what little daylight remains. They love the vetch, clover and parsley, and especially in the cover of darkness, they're brave enough to come right up to our fence line. Sometimes they'll stand still, ears pricked as if deciding whether we've noticed them. Other times they just lower their heads and graze, confident in their quietness. It's a strange balance, sharing space with them. We plant and tend, and they in turn remind us that this land isn't only ours. Once the staples have cooled and are set into the plastic, the extra bits of metal that stick out can be trimmed off flush. Most people use side cutters or pliers to snip off the protruding ends, but Paul is using a grinder which needs a bit of care. Just keep in mind there could be some heat build-up and you need to have good control. A slip could gouge the plastic or weaken the repair. If you do use a grinder, use a small rotary tool with a cutting or sanding disc, not a big angle grinder. It gives you more control, and work gently. Just take off the excess metal, don't press hard. So once the crack is reinforced with the metal staples, then you use the heated tip of the welder to gently melt the plastic around and over the staples. This bonds the plastic itself, fusing both sides of the crack into a single seam. The staples stay embedded inside, giving strength. while the melted plastic seals everything watertight. Water tanks flex under pressure as they fill and empty, and without reinforcement, a welded seam might reopen. The staples add rigidity and spread the pressure, making it much stronger. So basically, those squiggly staples essentially stitch the tank back together, and then the welding step seals it. So that's how the Mr. Car tool is designed to be used. Paul has been working steadily on this water tank over the past couple of days, and the split looked pretty daunting at first, but with the welder and a handful of squiggly staples, he stitched the crack back together. Then carefully he melted the plastic around them, smoothing the seam until it felt strong again. And when he finally stepped back, there was a quiet pride in his face.
Ta-da! No crack.
A job well done, at least for now. The tank looks whole again, ready to hold water as it once did. But of course, only time will tell. When the tank is full, under the weight and pressure of thousands of litres, that's how we'll know if the weld truly holds. For now though, there's satisfaction in having tried, in giving the old tank another chance at life, and learning a new skill we've never used before. We finally got the mulch on this new circular garden bed, and the bees move thickly over the flowering daikon radish. It's buzzing with life. We've got about 12 loquat trees or loquat trees hardening up, and I've also put the callistemon trees out as well, ready for planting out next weekend. The wildlife has changed with the season too. Eastern rosellas have returned, their feathers like jewels flashing through the trees. They come back each spring to raise their chicks here, and their song feels like home. All around us, birdsong fills the air, a constant reminder that the land is waking again. The kangaroos are grazing in the paddock, unhurried. The sun is starting to go down, but the work truly never ends. There are always more seeds to sow, more trays to fill. I sowed phlox, blushing bride, soft and pale. Tomorrow it will be something else. So many seeds, so little time. But that's the rhythm of life out here. Planting, tending, growing and waiting. The blushing bride phlox, and that's really hard to say, is a beautiful old-fashioned annual flower. It's often grown in cottage gardens for its soft and romantic look. It produces clusters of delicate star-shaped blooms, and every evening as the day closes, the sun pours gold across the land. It's hard to explain, but those moments feel like all the reward for all the effort. Quiet, glowing, perfect. Just when the days begin to feel calm and full of promise, the weather turned again. At the end of the week, the wind arrived, loud, tearing across the land. The wind was much too strong to take the frost cloth down, even though it was hanging in shreds. That's the way things are done here. peace, then wildness, calm, then storm, a balance we live with, and a reminder that this life is not ours to control,